Hey, Strikers, welcome back to another dev chat here. It is our 6th dev chat we've been able to have, so exciting to keep these going. I'm, of course, Evan Rayner, Raynday. We've got Brian and Logan in here, the developers and kind of lead go-getters, I'd say, for this project for Strike. And, of course, we've got our producer, Brad, sitting by in the new sound room. So if it sounds a little different or it sounds even better, thank him as well. How are you guys doing today?
Great. We're really excited.
Yeah?
I'm trying Diet Coke Zesty Blood Orange for the first time, and it's good.
And that's always a moment in life. You know, college, high school, the first time you tried Diet Coke Zesty Blood Orange. And then what's it?
Try to say that
What are you learning
fast.
from it? Zesty
so
Blood
hard.
Orange. You name it on this name here. Coke products are fantastic. We all agree there at Skillshot. So let's talk about this. We have a new champion. That's the biggest thing that we want to talk about. You've also got some battle pass stuff, some matchmaking stuff, and some questions we'll answer just to give an overview for this podcast and this dev chat. So let's bring it in. First champion, I mean, coming up that I've seen in a healer form for a while, Saris.
Yeah.
She's coming
pretty
next.
exciting. A lot of people excited for Saris, and we're pretty excited to be able to do our interpretation of her kit and her abilities in our game.
And you like to mention which ability you've left off. So which one is not coming into the kit this time for Saris?
Rend
Soul, the heal?
Yeah. Oh, I call it detonate.
Oh,
right?
no,
it's
the
detonate.
Ren
detonate,
Soul's like the
basically.
detonate
The
one.
detonate, yep.
We got rid of that. I didn't want to because I actually, probably everybody hates me in Paladins, but I play her more aggressive. So they're like, why aren't you healing me? I'm like, I'm trying to stack so I can Ren Soul. Like, leave me alone. But we did get rid of that. She's a support, and so we want people to focus more on healing and survivability with her being able to phase out and not be targeted by people or heal the allies. And since we only have 2 abilities, those are the ones we went with. But she plays actually, you know, oftentimes we take twists on characters from Paladins, and she plays actually pretty similar to in Paladins, even without Ren Soul. So she's healing, she's moving around the back line, so she's more difficult for flankers to pin down, and she still has her powerful ultimate that's grouping enemy teams together.
That's
and, you know,
gonna
if
be
they're
good,
bunched, you can get a whole team wipe behind it. So she's pretty similar. I think what you would expect is what you're going to get with her, but it's a great addition to diversifying the support cast and also team compositions.
Yeah, and I would say even though Ren Soul got removed, she's still pretty aggressive support sometimes because she's one of the only characters in the game so far who her auto attack projectiles actually penetrate.
They do.
Yeah, so just like in Paladins PC, they'll penetrate, they'll go through the whole enemy team. So if you can hit 2 or 3 people, you're doing a lot of damage with a single projectile.
Do they stop on shields as it is in normal Paladins, or they?
Yes.
Go through? Okay.
Unless we have the Ying bug come
Unless we
back,
have the Ying
but
thing.
I don't. In our testing, that is not the case.
Okay.
So.
All right. So she should still, and she'll have her shadow travel as well, which should make her invisible and move around the map freely, get to a better spot, relocate, and then either heal or do damage as you might be doing in Paladins, Brian.
That's right. Still going to do with her in Strike.
So another thing, you know, with these new champions coming out, I guess one of the exciting parts is how they change. You mentioned a little bit about Augments, and that people may not know that name, but it's when you level up, you get a choice. Those choices are ultimate charge, maybe cooldown reduction, CC reduction. You mentioned that, you know, Augments are going to be playing something, maybe a bigger role as you head down towards development in Paladins. And is there any kind of ideas you have for that with Saris?
Yeah, so we're playing catch up still. So we have 2 kinds of champions right now. We have champions that are like Jhin, where when you're leveling up, the augments really modify the play style of the champion, and we like that. That's the way we want all augments to be. So for Jhin, you know, yes, some of them are generic, like critical chance or movement, but he also has the ability later on to heal himself with either his counter ability or with Billow. And then you can make Billow move faster, so it's easier for him to heal in Billow. And the way the heal works is when he's touching an enemy. So, you know, when you're moving faster, it's easier to stick to an enemy and heal. So they work together, and you get meaningful choices, and you can change based on the situations you're facing in the game. Then we have people who are more like, maybe Victor's a good example, where the augments are more generic. So there's not really anything that's touching specific abilities. It's just stat changes, like more health, more damage, whatever. And that's cool, but it's a little boring, I think. And we want it to be more interesting. So Saris out of the gate is probably going to be more like Victor.
Okay.
But we plan to update her in a future patch to be more like Jhin. And that's our goal for pretty much everybody, is to get them more into that kind of state. So So if she
Great.
comes out and you're like, oh man, these augments aren't as interesting as I was hoping, don't worry, we know, and our plan is to make it more interesting for everyone.
As long as she gets ultimate charge at that point, because I just want to throw that thing down. And
Actually, that's already there,
okay.
so you'll be happy with that.
Okay, that's perfect. So
I think it's at level 5.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, when Ruckus gets that, he's a whole nother beast. When Saris gets that and a Ruckus, I'm talking about a nice duo queue right there, man.
Oh, yeah.
So moving on, Battle Pass. This is a word that came up in Paladins recently. Are you guys thinking of having an iteration style of Battle Pass, Logan? And, I'll let you kind of give an overview of what you guys are thinking around that.
Yeah, it's interesting that you asked that. It's almost like we set you up to ask us that question.
It's almost like it was planned.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting. With Update 3, we're going to be having this new feature that's done so well in so many other games, and it brought so much content. So we're taking our own spin on it. We're theming it around soccer. So we've got a lot.
I'm down with that.
Football.
The World Cup is this summer.
The Realm Cup is also this summer.
Oh wow!
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. So we got
getting the Raynday soccer skin now for Lex. I mean, you guys have a couple. I don't know. Think about it, guys.
Yeah, we got a lot of exciting stuff coming in. We got icons. The Battle Pass also has 4 skins, 4 really premium skins that look really cool. And we've also got some cosmetics that haven't been featured in the game yet, some new types of cosmetics that are really exciting. So hopefully people are going to be able to get in there and
make it happen. So how do you participate?
Well, everyone can participate.
Okay.
It's available to everyone for free.
Just by playing and
earning points. And so you'll have your account level, which is maxed out at 30 right now. That's just your generic progression. And then we'll also have a battle pass level. And your battle pass level caps out at 60. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's like, oh my gosh. We had talked about different levels, so that's why I was a little unsure. We set it on 60, and when you reach 60, you've unlocked all the rewards. And so there's rewards that are free that mostly tie back to the rune system or getting small amounts of currency, whether it's tickets or whatever. And then there's a premium version of it, which is only $10.
Okay.
And similar pricing to Paladins.
Sure.
And the premium version gives you great rewards every single level versus having more spaced out rewards in the free one. And you still get the free rewards. So it all compounds to basically give you great value.
Quite a lot.
Similar to Logan's Secret Stash, we wanted to provide something that was like, hey, get this. You're going to get tons of value at a really low price point. Only for this one, you have to play to unlock all the value.
Gotcha. Well, that sounds really exciting. Is there a date for when that's coming, or just this next patch?
Well, it'll come with the next patch.
Great.
At the time of the release of this podcast, it should be
out already.
Should be out very, very soon.
Yeah, not out yet, but it'll be coming.
soon.
Okay, coming soon. I'm jumping the gun there.
But it's cool. We were inspired, I think, by Paladins, right?
Yeah.
So, some of the new visuals Logan was talking about relate to how Paladins was able to add new things. And there's more we want to do, but with the time we had, we were only able to add kind of one new visual effect.
Right.
And then the skins are really great. I won't spoil who they're for, but there's a referee skin, there's a player skin, there's a goalkeeper skin that's really awesome. Yeah. A whole bunch of new avatars for players to unlock along the way, so you can have bragging rights if you're ahead of the pack in terms of your leveling or not. And we'll also have some additional options for long-term Paladin Strike players who want to capture all the value, so there'll be a pass as well. We plan to do like a season pass, so we plan to do multiple battle passes throughout the rest of the year, not just this one. And this one will last 45 days, so if people are wondering kind of, hey, do I need to get in right away or not, and what's the duration? It's 45 days. But there'll also be more coming after this. So the idea is that you can sign on now for all of them if you want. If you're like, yeah, Paladin Strike's my next competitive game. Why don't you have custom games yet? I'm waiting, right?
Yeah.
Or, if you're just dabbling and you just want to play for this season, you can also just get this one.
There are some people like that. I mean, Toli was talking to me about Anatoly, one of our casters, that he was trying to get to Grandmaster and from Masters. And there's a guy there are 2 guys who are just like 3,000 points ahead of everybody after 2 days. They're like at like 6,000. Like he said, he promoted at 4,000 something and from what is it? Diamond to Master. Yeah. And the Masters run is they're already past 5,000 after 2 days.
Yeah, and it's only one person promoting from Masters to Grandmasters. It's going to be insanely competitive.
2 guys just in their beds all day long just saying,
I'm
calling home from work,
just
I'm calling home from
gaming
school.
Also, giving them a run for their money.
Man, pretty cool though. That's going to be exciting. Last couple of kind of keys, and these don't necessarily go with each other, but again, obviously a focus on bugs for you guys and critical issues, still a priority to get feedback from the community and feedback on that experience. And we could touch on that. And also matchmaking has come up as a conversation piece that you felt was important to kind of talk to the community about.
Yeah, why don't we take matchmaking and I'll just get my little note before we move on to questions.
Yeah, sure. So for matchmaking, it's always a controversial topic. Matchmaking and real-time PvP games.
Yeah.
You see it on every game, right? Common comment is fix matchmaking. I've
never seen a game with good matchmaking.
Yeah,
that way.
That's right. They're all bad. Matchmaking is tricky because, well, first off, let me say that definitely the concern of like fixed matchmaking is, well, not constructive, valid feedback, right? We're always improving matchmaking across our games, and Paladins Strike is no exception to that. But a lot of the time, people actually are placing where they're supposed to place. So in matchmaking, if it's working optimally, you're going to win half of your games and you're going to lose half of your games.
Right.
And when you start losing half of your games, that can be frustrating because you went from winning more than half of your games to losing half, right? You're not performing as well. And you may feel that it's your fault. You may feel that it's the fault of people around you, and then you may go to matchmaking. Most of the time, and we've looked at this carefully, at least for Strike, I won't speak for other games, you're actually where you belong. And the games have just gotten more difficult because you've hit the sweet spot for where you're supposed to be, right? So everybody wants to get to Grandmasters, but the reality is most people will never get there. In fact, 90-something% of people will never get there because it's where the best of the best are, right?
Yeah.
I would love to play in the NBA, but I am terrible at basketball. If Paladins Strike was basketball, I'm solidly living in bronze forever.
LeBron's, you mean?
I wish.
Okay. By the way, Cavs play the Warriors tonight. Who you got?
No comment.
Warriors.
Warriors?
Warriors.
Okay, that would be 3-0. It'd be basically over if they win.
Yeah.
In Cleveland. You got Warriors in Cleveland.
I'm good with that.
Okay.
You want it to be a 3-0? That's so boring.
That's boring. I want Cleveland to win this game. By the way. We had to take an NBA break there.
We'll see.
Okay.
Well, actually, by the time they hear this, we'll already have nailed
I will already know.
It'll be like a week old.
Just let you know when we recorded this clearly. All right.
So, but for matchmaking, so let me go back to it. So I just want to give that as a precursor for people. I'm sure you've heard this before, and you'll come up with other things. But generally speaking, I just want you to understand we are paying attention to the matchmaking results.
Yeah.
They're not, for those of you who are frustrated, they're not necessarily as bad as you may think. That said, we do want to improve the formula. So on the next update, one of the things we noticed is that the rating was never being readjusted week to week. So you've got players who have been playing hardcore with really high win rates in bronze, silver, and now they're in master, right? And they're having very long matchmaking times because their MMR is so high, and it's high because of how long they've been playing the game, not necessarily because they're that much better than somebody who's below them.
Gotcha.
So what we want to do and what we're going to experiment with is you can think of it like a soft reset. And I don't want to get too much into the details, but week to week, it's going to look at what league you are in, and it's going to normalize you towards that league. Gotcha. So that way you should have lower wait times. And lower wait times, and also you're going to be readjusted for people in that league. So, if you're in, let's say, silver, but maybe you had been playing for a long time, so you were getting gold or diamond and having really hard games, so you couldn't get out of silver. Now you'll be normalized more around other players who are in silver. So this should help, again, improve matchmaking quality, which is the #1 concern people have, also get you better games, and also make sure that people are having lower wait times for matchmaking.
Great.
It's an experiment. I can't promise it's going to work on this build, but we'll definitely learn from it and, again, continue to improve that system.
Awesome. Great. And Logan, you said you had something about basically bugs that you wanted to mention.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about bug fixes over the last few podcasts. I just wanted to give everyone in the community a shout out that we're still definitely looking into the critical issues. Cool. And if you want to help with that, tweet at either me, hi-rez log, or Brian Lionheart, or Elvine, our community manager, and DM us, and we will try to work with you. We're sending out custom builds to people with debugging. It's not anything sketch or anything.
Right.
We're working directly with community members now to figure out what are these major issues that we haven't been able to replicate in-house. How are these occurring? What device types? What operating systems? Sending them a custom build, getting debug information so that we can solve these really critical issues. We've already got probably half a dozen community members helping us. If you're one of those community members, thank you.
And where should they be sending that? Just the forums? That's the best place?
Twitter, Discord, anywhere you can contact us. Just shoot us a message and we'll be watching. Yeah, feedback, email.
A 0, right?
It's like a 1 and 0.
Why would you do
give
that?
Me the name, please. It's like a suspended
horrible.
account. I just want to get the regular name. Nobody knows anyone at Twitter. It's like a robot-run company. It's not real.
That's true.
Yeah. It's just there's so many device types.
I'm dying over here, man. I want that name so
robot.
bad.
We brought up a lot for you.
What
in
are
that
we talking
landscape.
about?
There was a lot that just got unearthed there. I think we were
Okay.
just going to pack it down again because we still got
Hold
questions.
it together.
Hold it together.
But yeah, there's most of our issues here in terms of these critical issues are happening on Android.
Okay.
And there's just so many device types, right? There's tens of thousands. Hey, phone, that phone fell. There's tens of thousands of Android devices on the market, so it's very, very difficult for anyone to test all specific devices. So, if you're having a problem with your specific device, feel free to contact us.
Yep.
We'll work with you one-on-one to, send you a debug build that will help fix your issue, hopefully. So.
Fantastic. Well, that's great news and great updates. Thank you guys for that. And of course, we've got some questions that, of course, people will be more interested in, especially if you asked or if you've been thinking about these things and wanting a response from the devs. Here is your chance. First thing that's come up is, will there be a drafting system?
We do not have plans for a drafting system in the normal queue. So for like Siege or for summons. And the reason is, it's not that we want to alienate players. We're building for mobile first. And a lot of the times when you open up the game, you only have so long to play, right? You might be waiting in line. You might be in between meetings.
Yep.
And so we don't want to make that experience
Even
take
longer.
too long.
Yeah.
And we're pretty happy with the game length on average right now. So probably in the normal queue, that's not going to come. But I think for custom games, we would be more than happy to support that as a feature. So for the more competitive community or for folks who want to run their leagues and maybe they're like, we have a week like we did with Ying where she's stupid OP. Everyone wants to ban her. That's fine. We'd be happy to support that. So
Yeah.
Sounds cool.
And also, I mean, this is just me thinking off the dome here. And I know Brian's getting nervous. Not promising anything, but we have a separate queue slot for game modes that we experiment with. So it'd be entirely possible for us to experiment with a feature like that by doing a separate game mode that had draft in that game slot. So
cool. So yeah,
just depends.
Options there if you really care about it. There's potential. Next one, are you guys planning on adding or adjusting chat callouts? This is like VGS, right? Basically.
Yeah,
Get
so
to the
we have a
point
number of chat
and who's behind
callouts
us.
in the match. We have like attack, defend,
Right.
Get the objectives, stuff like
Help.
that. Help.
you rock.
You
Cancel
rock.
that? You gotta have cancel that.
Cancel that. Yeah, we definitely, I mean, adding more is great. It's all about UI and whether
Gotcha.
or not it's an elegant experience trying to get those chats to work. But I think we can do more to refine the current ones that we have. I think we can go through and take a look at which ones currently aren't necessarily as helpful or which could be more informative. And then we could maybe switch those up text-wise.
So people should obviously get at you on Twitter, forums, whatever, if they think the call out should be there, if it's not there. Obviously, that could be very community-driven. If something takes speed, people run with it. Now, I guess a good question here that I'm interested in, do you have any plans to bring Paladins Strike to more platforms?
Plans?
Well,
yes.
nice.
Schedule? Not really. So we definitely want to bring Paladins Strike to more platforms. And the first one that comes to mind is PC.
Yeah.
Because I know from my own personal experience, a lot of mobile players, especially more hardcore players, use emulators because they just prefer to play on a PC. And, it's also sometimes frustrating to have your phone tied up with a game, right? Because you might be waiting for a call, whatever. And so you want to be able to free that up when you're going to spend maybe 2 hours gaming. So we do want to make a PC client. It's on our list of to-dos. We were hoping to do it actually early summer, but we've been focusing more on technical optimization and bug fixing. And the folks who are working on that are some of the same folks we would need to go to a new platform. And we think providing a stable, good experience is definitely the most important thing before we open the door to other platforms. Also, there's a lot of vulnerabilities and other risks associated with moving from mobile to PC that we need to prepare for. So it's a bigger thing than it sounds like. So, but definitely PC, that's probably on the front end of the list. And then in terms of consoles, like a PlayStation 4 or Xbox One or Nintendo Switch.
Or Game Boy Advance.
How do I even react? Yes, or Game Boy Advance.
Dreamcast? Can we play on
Game
the
Boy
Dreamcast?
Advance port wins.
Paladins Strike Red coming soon.
On the GameCube.
We definitely would like to go to those platforms. The controls there is what's going to be more interesting to us. So everything is on the list, but I don't have dates for that quite yet. And I think definitely for those expecting it, PC is probably what's going to be first.
Excellent. That's pretty exciting. So why did you guys choose to focus on making a MOBA style game instead of an FPS like the traditional Paladins? This does veer more towards a little bit more tactical, although there are some skill shots in there. It definitely leans towards that MOBA style. So what was the inspiration, or I guess the purpose of the direction that way?
Probably if we were going to make an FPS, we would just bring Paladins to the mobile, right? The same way other games have done that.
Right.
And by the way, I think that would be a great experience. The reason we haven't done it isn't because we wouldn't like to do it. It's because Paladins is an Unreal Engine 3 game.
Right.
And Unreal Engine 4 is the one that Epic optimized for mobile.
Right.
So making a UE3 game on mobile is significantly more difficult, I think, than if it had been built in UE4.
Gotcha.
But for us, I think, we wanted to make a game that stood on its own. And the top-down shooter genre has been one of those areas where I feel like, personally, and I think the team agrees, it's a great genre that has never had a big hit. Recently, I guess, on mobile is what I say. I don't want to say never, because I bet you there's at least one game
someone will find one
thinking
game.
Of.
Yeah.
Right? I actually really liked Alien Swarm, the free game that Valve put out way back when on Steam. It's like a free shout out for them. They could go try it. It's really fun. And it's really fun.
Check out Alien Swarm.
But like, you play that kind of a game and you really get into it. But all the time, top-down shooters, they focus on like being bullet hells or like dodge this, like really over the top, just all these projectiles coming after you, and they're very hardcore. And for us, we wanted to provide that experience, but more accessible 5v5 PvP, kind of like, MOBAs have done on mobile and on PC with that top-down view. And that's kind of how it came to be what it is today in terms of being more MOBA-ish. I think actually, and I'd be curious what Logan thinks and what you think, I think we've actually done a pretty good job with top-down gameplay, capturing a shooter feel. Like when I play it, it feels a lot like Paladins in terms of time to kill, in terms of like, I have to land my primary weapon attacks. And I think that's really cool that you can capture that essence with a totally different camera perspective. I haven't played a game that's really done that yet.
Yeah, I'll say when I first came on the project, I definitely thought of it as a MOBA because of the camera angle, the abilities, and stuff like that. But the more I got familiar with the project and the further along we got with it, it just cemented itself in my mind as a hero shooter, right? It's a hero shooter on mobile, and I don't think I've seen another game like that.
Yeah. I mean, personally, when you look at a MOBA, right, you say everyone's basic attacks are kind of the same. You look at the Hunter and Smite. I mean, everybody basic attacks the exact same way, but the abilities are what set them apart. And Paladins, I think, there's this nice mix of abilities being impactful to the gameplay, but also the fact that each weapon feels distinct and feels like a new play experience. The weapons alone are what drives a lot of your gameplay and your strategy and how you approach a fight. So it is a really interesting line to walk, but I think the game's walked it extremely well.
Yeah, and by the way, in making this decision, a big goal also was accessibility. So I think, I have a lot of friends who play games like Paladins and shooters, and the reality is some of them will just never be good at shooters.
Yeah.
It's not their fault.
You got to just let them know. This is how it is.
It's just the reality. Maybe
I love you,
with years of practice, but having good reaction time and Twitch aiming can be really hard for some people. And, I feel like looking at a top-down view is probably one of the most accessible camera perspectives in gaming today.
Sure.
And so when you're aiming and you're not having to worry about, moving vertically, you're really just aiming. I mean, it's more than horizontal, but you're really aiming just on one plane when you play Paladins Strike, means that, there's still a skill component and it leaves room for the people who are really good to be way above everybody else, but it's also more accessible for those who are trying to master it, who maybe aren't as good, right? Like the gap, I feel like, is so much smaller in perception, though in reality, it's still just as big.
Yeah, it's a great reflection of the game's success thus far, and I think continued success in the future. Thank you guys for kind of giving us the lowdown. Sarah's coming in, new Battle Pass announcements, obviously matchmaking, always looking to improve that, and all of these questions about drafting, specific kind of modes that could possibly jump into, call-out adjustments. If you guys have any interest in letting them know what you feel should be in the game or what you think about this, make sure to hit them up on their Twitters at hi-rez-log and at Lionheart with a 1 and a 0 instead of an I and an O. So make sure you get that correct and reach out to them. You can reach out to me too at Raynday Gaming on Twitter if you want, or stay tuned for our next dev chat, which we will be discussing more as we get closer and closer to more updates that matter to you. Thanks, Strikers, for joining us. As always, friends, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and we will see you all in the realm.